Hello, my name is Karina and this is my perfume map. Today I want to talk about perfumes from the 1920s that I have in my collection and you can still buy today. I have been reading this book called Scent, well actually I read the book, I'm finished with it. Scent and Subversion, Decoding a Century of Provocative Perfume by Barbara Herrmann. And I learned about this book from the what's her name? Emma Vernon's podcast. I'll put it in the comments. I can't remember what it's called right now. But I want to say I heard two different guests on her show talk about this book. And then I tried to look it up on Amazon and eBay. And I think it's out of print because it was really, really expensive. But my library had it. So I was excited about that. And it's a pretty good book. It was written, or it came out in 2013, and it's a lot about collecting vintage perfume and kind of why the author chooses to do that. And then it talks a lot about niche. And while reading it, I realized like there's a real connection between like vintage perfume lovers and like niche perfume lovers that this book kind of made me realize like how that exists, because a lot of times now when I'm watching YouTube videos about fragrance, it'll either be somebody who's into like really new niche fragrances, or sometimes I'll watch people who are really into vintage fragrances, but it will usually be like a very specific range of fragrances that they're interested in. And I don't have like a huge connection to like the niche fragrance world. And I think it's because when I was like just kind of passively buying fragrance, I want to say from like 2005, maybe a little bit before, until like maybe like 2017 or 18, something like that. This is so stupid that I'm like acting like this is important. But I was mostly buying indie fragrances. And I think there's a big difference between indie and niche. And what I think it is a niche house, especially now, I feel like it's just somebody who understands that creating a brand and marketing a fragrance is a thing that they can do. And if they have the money, they can come up with a concept, and then they can go to the big fragrance manufacturers, Givaudan, Firmenich, Maine, IFF, you know, those places, like they just have perfumers, and then you can pay those perfumers to like make your perfume, and the niche owner might not even be a perfumer at all. Whereas with indie perfumes, you have a person who's like wants to make a brand, wants to do indie perfumes, and they're making their own. And that's like a tough it's a tough niche, I'm using niche for indie, area to like get started in, because you don't know, is this somebody who's just like mixing like cheap fragrance oils, or is this somebody who knows what they're doing? You know what I mean? Like there's a big range in the indie, but I do think indie is still way more interesting, because it's not just like, oh, you know, like right now there's a popular TikToker who just came out with a brand, but like that TikToker doesn't make perfume. That TikToker just is putting basically their name and maybe their ideas on something that an investor who had the money was able to go to like a big perfume manufacturer and like make the perfumes. And like I don't think that that's niche. I think that that's capitalism. And like I don't have an issue with capitalism. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying like that's like how we do things, and like it's not as interesting. Anyway, I have a lot of perfumes from the 1920s, and I think that at the time when this book was written, there was like a lot of interest in kind of like stinky perfumes. This author, she goes on and on about Secretions Magnifiques by Etat Libre d'Orange, which is like a fragrance that I have to be honest, I have like no interest in, because I'm kind of grossed out by like gross sounding perfumes. Like if somebody's like, oh, this smells like blood and sweat and body fluid, I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't know, like knock yourself out if that's like interesting to you. But there's a lot of like just kind of references to perfume as like art, which like I'm just a little iffy on that concept. Like I agree that perfume is art, but like it doesn't have to be. Like it can just be something that like improves your life because it smells good. Anyway, this book has like you know, some thoughts, and then it has the whole midsection is kind of divided by decade, and you know, it's just a little blurb on each fragrance. And I just kind of thought, oh, I have a lot of fragrances, I realized, from the 20s, the 70s, and the 90s. So these are all from the 20s. They're all still available, which I think is pretty cool. And I have some of these, I have like a few different like versions of, or they came out at different times. Anyways, I feel like I'm really rambling. I hope I didn't say anything really rude. I probably did, but we'll just smell some of these. So my scent of the day is this one, Toujours Moi. And this actually came out in 1924, which I did not know when I got this little 15 ml from like a lot that I purchased. This was originally made by Corday. I don't know much about them. And then it was purchased by Max Factor, which I definitely remember from the 80s. And then now it's by, you can still buy it. It's manufactured by Dana. Dana seems to have a lot of perfumes that were vintage and they kind of scooped up, like Chantilly, I think, is Dana now, and Taboo, I think, has always been Dana. But this one, Toujours Moi, is Dana. And this gets compared to Taboo, actually, and Shalimar. And I get Shalimar. I do not get Taboo at all. But as far as the comparing it to Shalimar, I would actually say this is more like Chanel's Le Lion, if you're interested in that fragrance, because this is sweeter and it's got an amber that's like powdery and chalky instead of being like a super like sweet amber. And there is like, I don't smell citrus until like I get to the dry down, which is kind of interesting for a fragrance, but it does have kind of an ambery, citrusy, incensey thing going on. And like I said, this is I don't know if this is even you would call this a dabber. It's just like a bottle. And I have really been enjoying pouring perfume on, like just kind of like dribbling it onto my skin rather than spraying it. I kind of like enjoy it. I'm not gonna say that like I prefer this to a sprayer, but I think there's a lot of talk about how, you know, spraying perfume is like the best way, maybe the only way, but I think that it's kind of fun to dribble it onto. I don't know, but this is what I'm wearing today and I'm enjoying it. It does have like, it has like that powdery sweet amber that I like. That's more, it's kind of more vintage than like a sweet vanilla amber, which I think they make now, and it lasts forever, and you can smell it like beyond everything else. So 1921, Chanel No. 5 came out. So I have like a few different bottles of Chanel No. 5. This is the EDP, and I paid $11 for this on eBay because the person thought it was like rotten, but it's not. I think the top notes are definitely like bruised, or they're not in like tip-top shape, but this is one of my favorite fragrances to wear because it starts out so incensey and ambery and oak mossy, but the dry down is like the sweetest vanilla I've ever smelled. And I don't know, I was reading actually in that book that Chanel No. 5 still had real civet in it up until like 1998. And I don't know when this bottle is from. Maybe some of you can tell. There's like nothing on it really. But it has this sweet muskiness that's a lot different than, especially like the modern EDT. But yeah, 1921, this came out. It's still available. And, you know, I kind of like, I always sort of like encourage people to check Chanel out because Chanel is like, they're independent as far as like their perfume making. Like, they don't have perfumers from the big perfume houses make their perfume, and they create a lot of their own like accords and absolutes, and they grow their own flowers to like distill into fragrances. Like, that's pretty unique this day and age. Chanel No. 5, like, you will not smell anything that smells exactly like their fragrances because of the way they make fragrances. Like, they're not like the others, okay? They don't have like an umbrella company over them. So, you know, I just like to remind people of that because I think it's interesting. I have another bottle of Chanel No. 5. And again, I don't know when this came out. This, I think it might be a refill. And this one smells... This one smells lighter than that EDP. And I have like a feeling that this is from the 80s. I just dribbled a bunch on this paper. Again, like nothing on the bottom. It just says Chanel. 2 ounces. There's the cap. But I mean, I'm fairly certain that's No. 5. That's what it smells like to me. See, the thing about Chanel No. 5 that I love so much is it's just the way the florals smell. Like there's like a papery, powdery floral. Like I just kind of get this picture of like this very papery, sort of dried floral when I smell it, and it's like the greatest. It smells so good. I mean, for people who love Chanel No. 5, you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm just kind of showing off my No. 5 collection here. And then this is the modern EDT. And this smells really good too. This smells like, I'm running out of little papers. This one is like sweeter and you get more florals right off the bat. It's not so ambery, oak mossy. It's very feminine. I just can't even imagine a man liking to wear this. Nothing wrong with it if you do, but like, it's so feminine. It's like flowers and fur coats. It's like a cozy house. It's like, it's very sophisticated. It's so pretty. I think that if you want Chanel No. 5 in your collection, then you should have it. Like, I just think it's an important fragrance. It's it's influenced so many fragrances that came after. And it is really unique. And I believe that Chanel is still to this day growing the florals, at least some of them that go into this fragrance. It's like a white floral, aldehydic, powdery, oak moss. But it just smells so good. And if you smell it at first and you're just like, oh, it's too like, it's like a bar of soap, it's old lady, it's something, okay, just like put it on your skin because it's so, so pretty. And the next one that I wanted to show you is Emeraude. This also came out in 1921. And this one, they say, is the inspiration for Shalimar, which came out a few years later. And you can still get Emeraude. This is by Coty. I think I paid $11. I've seen the price kind of fluctuate though. I think sometimes like it gets low or something and then the price goes up. This smells like Shalimar, but it's less, it has less of like a burning incense smell and more of like a lime incense vanilla, but vintage. But it's so pretty. It's so fresh smelling. I think it's unisex. I love kind of the green color of the juice. And I do have a few vintage bottles too. I'm not sure when this one is from. This is a splash bottle, but it smells, it smells really strong. The interesting thing about Emeraude and all of them that I've ever smelled is I still can smell the citrus, which in modern perfumes, I feel like citrus notes go. Yeah, this one's really good too. And this is maybe like a eau de cologne, so maybe this is like a light concentration. What does it say on the bottle? New York, Paris, London. Coty Division Pfizer. Pfizer? Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you know about this bottle. But I also have another little vintage bottle here, Emeraude. This one actually looks more green, huh? The modern one. This one looks more like Shalimar. And it's a dabber. I'm gonna put a little on my thumb. This one smells different. This one smells more ambery. Almost smells more perfumey. So I don't know when this one is from, but this one's a little bit different than this one. Maybe it's just an EDP. Maybe that's what it is. It doesn't say anything. So that's Emeraude from 1921, still available. The next one I was going to show you, is Shalimar. And this is such a good perfume. This came out in 1925. The Chanel Le Lion to me is a Shalimar dupe. The only difference I can smell is that the Le Lion is maybe more like smoothed out and a little bit sweeter and vanilla-ish. But it actually has more of the incense fragrance, maybe not so like burning rubber like this one has. But this is a great perfume. I bought this used, I think, for $18. If you just are patient, you can find somebody who's just letting it go pretty cheap. There's a lot of Shalimar on eBay and probably Mercari too. I just find that Mercari prices are almost always higher than eBay, because on eBay it's a lot of people who are like clearing out, you know, somebody's stuff or their own stuff, or they're moving, and like the prices will just be better. And if you just always are looking for like newly listed Shalimar, you will find one cheap. And this one was part of like a set, but all I got was the fragrance, and it smells absolutely amazing. It smells classy. I feel like I smell like a rich lady when I wear it. I love Shalimar. I'm not somebody who thinks it's too incensey, or I mean, it is incensey, but I like that. I love it. So, and this is still available. You can buy a brand new bottle at the store if you wanted to. And the last one I'm going to show you is Lamont by Coty. This came out in 1927. It was inspired by Chanel No. 5, and it's a very, very good Chanel No. 5 alternative. It's more vanilla right from the get-go. I want to say it's a little more user-friendly. Like, if you really are freaked out by Chanel No. 5, you still might like Lamont. If you don't want to spend the money on Chanel No. 5, you should definitely look into Lamont. This is like under $20. I think this is a 1.7, EDT. And I'm pretty sure you can just get this on Amazon. But it's easy to get. It's definitely still being made. It's made by Coty. And yeah, it's a beautiful vanilla, slightly incensey, slightly powdery. It's really, really pretty. It's a really pretty vanilla powdery, maybe like a little bit of citrus. But it smells so good on the skin. It's not the most projecting perfume, but like if you're like me, that's okay. You can get Chanel No. 5 EDP if you really want to like have something that's projecting. But yeah, all these fragrances are like almost, they're almost 100 years old. Some of them are over 100 years old, and they're still available today. And if you're interested in getting into vintage fragrance and you want to take a break maybe from like super expensive niche or something like that, check some of these out. They're fun. And once again, the book that I got from the library is Scent and Subversion by Barbara Herman. And it's a cool book. It's a little bit, I want to like subversive. Is that the word I'm looking for? It's a lot. Some of it. Some of the writing is a little, I don't want to say controversial, but you know what I mean? It's not like for everybody. Like, it's kind of gross. Let me say that. Like, there's some writing in here that kind of grosses me out. I'll just be honest. But, you know, I'm old. Maybe I'm a little, I just wouldn't write those kind of things, I guess. I guess that's what I want to say. I don't know. Ignore me. I'm not making any sense. I like everybody. I like reading about perfume. I like hearing people's opinions on perfume. I think like I have a lot of thoughts on perfume, but they're just my thoughts. Like eventually those run out and they're boring. But anyway, hope you're having a great day. Thank you for watching me ramble on, and I'll talk to you really soon. Subscribe.